Are we good on that, Amy? Yes? All right, great. And then we just
We're
need
good.
a roll call of the committee members, and we're gonna,
Buzz, we're starting the meeting.
sorry, and we're gonna welcome new members if we can. So we'll just go around the room. I guess if you'd like to start, you get to be the first one.
All right, thank you, Laura. Kevin Whalen, and I'm from the North Creek area. Oh, we gotta go on too, I suppose.
Yeah.
Hello?
All right,
guys hear
Kevin,
me?
now hopefully you can
Yes.
hear me. Kevin Whalen.
All right, yes,
Kevin Whalen from North Creek. Was interested in, when I got to county board to get with the Parks Group, I've worked with a lot as far as development in the area and was real interested in your guys' agenda. You guys get a lot of work done in a short period of time. It looks like there's a lot of stuff this morning. So I represent District 9.
Wonderful, welcome.
Good morning, Jean Galazinski, citizen member.
Buzz Sorgi, citizen member. I live up in the farthest north part of the county you can get. I'm a half mile from Eau Claire County, north of Osseo.
Bob Petrick, citizen member from Independence.
Renee Lyon, District 13, I'm from Whitehall. Worked for the county for many, many years. This is just sort of like a continuation, part-time.
Awesome, do you want to sneak in?
Sure, Becky Gluen.
Sorry.
No,
No worries.
County Administrator, do you want to say, just announce
Yeah.
yourself too, Amy?
Amy Bergerson, I'm the fiscal manager at DLM Parks and Tourism.
Awesome. And I'm Lori Severson, and I represent District 4.
I'm Jeannie Nutter, and I represent District 16.
Dave Carlson, Dave Carlson, I'm running the Zoom screen here. Besides that, I'm the Economic Development and Tourism Manager.
Kevin Adams, Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors, District 7.
Galazinski as citizen members. So I think we need a motion
I
for
move
that.
that we reappoint both Buzz Sorgi and Jean Galazinski as citizen members to the PTED Committee.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second and alrighty then.
Wait, we have to
Oh,
vote.
sorry. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I think we're good to go. And then we have the adoption of the agenda. So we'll need a motion to.
I move to approve the agenda as written.
Wonderful. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. Yeah, all in favor? Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we get to the election of the officers. So we need the chair, vice chair, and secretary. So I think what we should do is, once we get some nominations, then folks can tell us about each other if we have more than one in each of the committees or the positions.
I would like to nominate Lori Severson for chair.
I'll second.
Second.
Alrighty then. Anyone else? Do I need to do that 3 times? Anyone else? At least 2. And anyone else? All right, at least 2, okay. All right. And then do we need to actually, yeah, so we'll go.
We have
go
to,
in-
all in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Perfect, so we'll close that and go to vice chair.
Nominate Jeannie Nutter for vice chair.
I'll second.
What was that again?
Sorry, Kevin. This is Buzz. I nominate Jeannie for vice chair.
Second.
Okay. Well, we got enough seconds there for sure. So can we call for the vote? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? I guess you have to say it 3 times in different voices. Okay, so, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
I think he meant aye, like general, okay. And then we'll go to the approval of. Oh, we need to nominate a secretary.
I would nominate Renee Lyon. Oops, sorry. I would like to nominate Renee Lyon.
Don't push on it.
Second.
This is, and so Amy takes the minutes, and then you would just be signing those as
Okay.
approval.
Okay.
Or any other things, yeah, for signage.
I was wondering how much time was involved. Okay.
Any other nominations?
Your mic is off. There.
Yes, I did.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Then we'll go to the introductions and qualifications. I think one of the things that would be really fun with this group is if we could just go around and just say, just one thing that you're good at or one thing that you maybe have a connection at or whatever. I feel like it's really super important for us to all kind of get together and, like you said, Kevin, make some stuff happen. So one of the best ways that we can do that is by sharing our skills and talents and maybe the knowledge or information that you have. I can start and then we'll just go right around the room if you guys don't mind. I have about 25 years of experience in the tourism arena. For the most part, I work with the KOA campgrounds nationally, and then we have a group, COE campgrounds, that is got 33 states in it, and I run the Wisconsin Association of Campground Owners. I'm pretty familiar with DATCAP. We've had a good relationship there for about 20 years, so that piece of it, I feel like I'm pretty good at. I've done strategic planning for all of the campgrounds in Wisconsin and then on the national basis as well. So I have a little bit in the marketing and tourism arena. Where you're going to find my weaknesses will probably be at Robert's Rules. I'm going to need to work on that a little bit. So that's a bit about me.
So I retired going on 3 years ago. I worked for the county 40-plus years. The last 25 were as director of an agency. And so through those 25 years, I think I developed some pretty good skills of organization, seeking out strategic planning, rules, regulations. So I think those things are my strong suit.
Awesome. Wonderful.
And I'm very interested in
Yeah,
this
that's
committee.
part of it.
It's just like, that Patrick Park is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I don't know where to start. I've been on this committee a long time. We're looking at 15-plus years.
Wow.
And highly involved in conservation, civic. I'm a business owner in Independence. For our family's had a business for almost 100 years. Most important part, I'm very proud of that park because that's where our family homesteaded.
Ah, wonderful.
That homesteaded there in 1868.
Wow.
So that's,
Bringing a little history to us.
yeah, so, and I would like to welcome Kevin to this board because his wife is my cousin and she's part of that family also.
All right.
We
Well,
have
then
a
you
lot
wanna
of
make sure and
interest
welcome
as
them.
far as what's going on at the park.
Right, right.
And it's listening to the comments from customers that come in.
Yes.
It is really a hidden gem in this county because
Absolutely.
it's nothing better than the comments that come out, how nice that park is.
You bet. Buzz.
Buzz Sorgi, my career was 36 years as a lake management specialist for DNR. My expertise is really community collaborative planning, and I still do that with Buzz Sorgi Consulting on a limited basis, and we also own a small farm up in the northern part of the county. And so I've been on I think this will be my third term on the committee. So I was a grant specialist too, so I worked in all aspects of the water quality grants and still do that with my consulting business.
Awesome. Wonderful. We'll be able to use that for sure. Jeannie.
I was in law enforcement for over 20 years, retired, moved back to the area, grew up around the area, moved back here, probably 5+ years in tourism, volunteer, take care of the Wisconsin Great River Road. I'm on the state committee, our commission. I'm also on the national for the Mississippi River Parkway Commission. tourism in the village of Trempealeau. We used to have a tourism council here for Trempealeau County, which unfortunately we don't. Maybe that can get going, but that's pretty much all the things I do.
Wonderful. Kevin, welcome.
And I was
Oh,
Oh, wrong Kevin.
we'll have to switch off on Kevin's, Kevin. I was an instructor in agri-science at Arcadia High School for 32 years, couple years at Black River Falls. One of the areas that I had an emphasis in was AP Environmental Science and Natural Resources. We've done a lot of work locally with the DNR planning trout, going through and environmental quality factors. I farm in North Creek, run a beef operation out there. Along with it, my full-time job is with the Wisconsin State Farm Bureau. I'm the Western Wisconsin District Coordinator, so one of my specialties is running meetings. Professional meeting goer, I guess you would have to say. If you have questions on parliamentary law, I've done that since I was about 14. I've been in competition in public speaking and parliamentary law. But we'll get as technical as you guys want to, because like I told people when I ran for this office, for a while I just got to look, listen, and learn. And I've been learning a lot. Great cows workshop we had the other day. Got to go with Renee and Jeannie up there and some other board members. So if there is something that comes up like that, I'm always interested in being a resource, but I won't stick it in your face, because if we're going to try to get some work done, it's hard to be too technical.
Gotcha. Well, you're my guy, so you know. I'll be looking at you.
The 4th edition Robert's Rules of Order.
That's my guy. All right, perfect. Jean-
Okay, well. Jeannie Nutter, I maybe bring a different perspective to this community. My background is all in social work. My undergraduate degree was in rural sociology in Dane County. I was involved in organizing activities on campus for the first Earth Day, so my heart and passion has always been in environmental issues. I've worked with Wisconsin conservation voters. Conservation is my thing.
Cool.
And in my work in rural social, I live on a small farm, so I have a great interest in farming and supporting small farmers, and that was one of the things I tried to combine my work with environment and small farming and keep small farmers working. I've been on this committee for 10 years, I think. It's my 10th year. I'm very invested in our park, and I'm excited with Jack's vision for not just focusing on Petrick Park, but bringing all the other parks together and doing stuff with them as a whole. So we are having a more holistic view of parks and conservation in this county.
Awesome, amazing. We can use that resource and history for sure. Kevin, you are up.
all right. My name is Kevin Adams, District 7. My background, my day job is in the human services / medical field. I think I bring some of that background too, even though I don't have any direct tourism background. I have been a farm kid or a farm boy on and off my whole life, either living on a farm or working for farms. So I bring some of that farming background, I do believe, that rural, a proud redneck in some ways. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Okay, thank you, guys. I think that's going to help a lot. And I think we've got a really cool set of tools here. So I think we've got everything we need. So that should be very exciting to get things moving along. We need the approval, item 7, approval of the April 1st regular meeting notes.
I'll make the motion that we accept the regular PTED committee minutes from the regular meeting on Tuesday, April 1st, 2024, as typed.
Wonderful. Can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then we need approval, item number 8 of the 4/16/2024 special meeting notes.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Okay, can we get a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
All right.
Anyone opposed? All right. And then we have the public comment. The call-in number is 715-538-1894. And we have to, do we have to actually wait for people to call in?
Usually we give 3 minutes for people. if they
About 3
wanna call
minutes?
in.
Okay.
That's our task this week.
Okay, that sounds great.
She's on here.
Madam Chairman,
She's not
Yes.
10.
we should go back to election officers. We should have had a motion to accept who we nominated, so I'll make an unanimous ballot.
Perfect. Okay, great. So that's the motion, and then, can we get a second on that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you for that. All right. And then Judy, do you want to go ahead and start with your report while we're waiting on anybody that might call in publicly?
Lots going on. Our committee met on Wednesday, April 17th. We have our annual Mississippi River Parkway Commission annual meeting. It's going to be in Winona, Minnesota in September. What that means is Wisconsin is one of 10 states that are on each side of the Mississippi River. And every year, usually in the fall, we get together and have a annual meeting. It used to be that a lot of us got together, but with things changing financially within states and whatever, it was not possible for a lot of them to travel, so we do the teams, which is wonderful. I have not got the agenda yet. I should get that probably by July. One thing I've asked them to do is because of our local businesses that deal with and DNR will be invited, U.S. Fish and Wildlife will be invited, canoeing, kayaking, a lot of recreational things. I've also asked for agritourism to be a part of it, and that information goes to the chairs, and then they make the contacts with people, and they put the agendas together. So I wanted to try to get it as much locally so the southern states can understand the difference between us and them, because obviously, you know, the river up here is lock and dams, the river down there flows. There is no lock and dams. Wednesday, May 15th, which is next Wednesday night, we are having our Discovery Wisconsin Media Works show of all the 8 counties. It'll be at the La Crosse Radisson. Dave, are you coming to that? Great. And that goes along with the Friends of the Wisconsin Great River Road with Wisconsin Department of Tourism. We're looking at doing another episode and possibly another episode after that, looking for grants and partnerships with counties and communities to see if maybe that's going to be something that's possible. The Mississippi River Trail Project, which is many of the states along the Mississippi River Parkway Commission, we're working on getting Wisconsin signed Mississippi River Trails. It's already out there. However, the group that started it years ago has not taken care of it for a long time. So we are bringing it back on so Wisconsin can get to the part with everybody else, and I'll keep you up to date on that. Trempealeau County has already passed the resolution to be a part of it, to come through the counties, as well as the town of Trempealeau, the village of Trempealeau, and town of Caledonia. Let's see, the visitor guide is going great, as long as you guys know, you put in a ad. We just got done mailing over 2,500. We're getting requests in every day. The requests come into the Wisconsin Department of Transportation office in La Crosse, as well as Explore La Crosse. Those visitor guides are also distributed throughout the state, throughout counties and communities in the area, also in the outside states. We're already starting to work on our 2025 visitor guide. It's good. I'm very proud of it. This is the 4th or 5th one that I've done, and it's great. And we get a lot of requests. requests that I've been keeping track of: Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, Michigan, Canada. Those
Wow.
are the ones that we've gotten thus far. A lot of in-state as well, but obviously, that core, Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, wants to come to our area. I wish we had a magic wand that I could find out the amount of people that use the visitor guides and come in and visit the businesses, but unfortunately, that's not possible. But I'm thankful that people order them so we can promote all of our beautiful 8 counties. The Trempealeau County Fair is July 17th through the 21st. The Dairy Breakfast is in Osseo, May 22nd at the Lundberg Farm. We promote those 2 things. Oh, I'm sorry, June, you're right. You're right. June 20, no, thank you, June 22nd, Osseo, my hand scratch. That's right. So people are there and go, hey, what's going on? Always good turnouts. I do all the promoting on Facebook for the counties and try to get as much information out there as I can. So it'll be good to be able to coordinate that with Trumpealeau County. And that's pretty much it. Next month I'll have more information, so thank you.
Awesome, great. Appreciate that. I think that our public comment has ended. So we're gonna roll right into item 11, Economic Development and Tourism, report from Dave.
I will try and keep it brief because I think there's going to be quite a bit of discussion on some park stuff. But continuing to work on our broadband planning grant for the new members. We received, as did every county in Wisconsin last year, $18,300 grant to do some work on broadband planning, specifically to identify unserved and underserved areas within our counties. And we have been working with Buffalo, Pepin, and Pierce counties collaboratively, because we knew that some of that work was going to involve and will involve hiring a consultant to help with some of that work. So where we are at in the process now is we put out an RFP to do that work. We've reviewed the RFPs. We've selected the one that we would like to work with. We're working through asking some final questions with that one. And next month, we will bring back to PTED and the county board a resolution to approve hiring that consultant out of Roseville, Minnesota, I believe they are. And then we'll go from there. But really, this is the necessary step before a lot of this broadband infrastructure grant money is going to be coming from the feds before it can be used. The states have to have a plan on what are your underserved and underserved areas. So that's what we're working towards with this project. I'll stop there. Are there any questions on that? I will say it's been really nice collaborative effort with the 4 counties. It started out with Pepin and Buffalo. I think the 3 of us have a lot in common. Pierce, I think we do as well, but they were very eager to work together as well. So that's enough on BEAD right now. In terms of downtown development around the county, working on a couple things. One, I did assist the city of the Downtown Galesville Business Alliance, DGBA, and the Osseo Chamber in applying for the Connect Communities program through the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. Happy to report that as of this week, they have been accepted, so both those communities will be participating in Connect Communities. I've had really good experience with that program. Other places I've worked, City of Columbus, City of Whitewater, I think it's some fantastic resources. It's related to the Main Street program, if you've ever heard of Main Street program. Mm-hmm. Probably get 80-90% of the resources as a Connect Communities participant without having to have a paid executive director. So it's just really geared towards small communities and getting them the tools that they need to grow and thrive and succeed. I am having a conference call this morning, and actually, I didn't even talk to Becky about this one, to explore some ideas on how we might be able to put together a downtown facade improvement program. I know we've talked about that before, and I think we might have a lead on some ways we might be able to put that together, so that's exciting. Becky and I have also talked about putting together a business grant and loan program, a locally controlled one, because that's one, I guess, one thing that's lacking in terms of our toolkit to be able to help businesses is having a locally controlled grant and loan program. You know, there's grants that come available through different places, including WEDC, you know, specifically the Main Street Bounce Back Grant a couple of years ago. There is a revolving loan fund through the Mississippi River Regional Planning Commission, but it's shared with multiple counties, and it's more oriented at like job creation and giving a certain amount of money per job. And what we're kind of lacking is like a seed capital fund or seed capital grants to help start out. So we've got some ideas on that. Next steps on that, we'll be talking to some lenders to see if they want to partner with us, both in terms of putting in some capital up front that we can get matched by the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and then participating as like reviewers of applications that come in. So that's exciting if we can pull that off. Housing, City of Galesville and City of Arcadia, just within the last few weeks, passed resolutions to extend their TIF districts that were set to expire by 1 year so that they could collect additional increment to fund affordable housing funds. And so they joined the City of Osseo, which did the same thing a couple of years ago. So we now have 3 communities within Trempealeau County that have a fund that will be developed with money put in for affordable housing. And so I think in the case of Osseo, it was like $800,000. Arcadia, it'll be around $600,000 if I remember correctly. And in Galesville, just a tick under $300,000. So one of the things that Becky and I have talked about is pulling together a meeting with village presidents, city mayors, to say, hey, how can we work collaboratively on housing? Are there some tools and facilitation that we can do to help you communities that want to move forward with developing more housing to accomplish that? I just think that's, you know, we all know that small communities have virtually no staff, let alone somebody to work on housing and economic development, tourism stuff. So that's the kind of resources that we have provided back, offering those resources to those communities.
I have a question.
Yeah.
May I interrupt? I'm sorry.
You absolutely can interrupt anytime.
I'm not familiar with this. The
Okay.
first familiarity I had with this was something in the paper that there was a Habitat for Humanity home built in Arcadia.
Mm-hmm.
Is that sort of similar, or is this money that would funnel through to the municipalities or cities to try to encourage contractors to build with funding? How does it work?
So this is not related to Habitat for Humanity. That's a great program that has put up, you know, a lot of homes in a lot of places that need them, and gotten people that otherwise couldn't afford housing into housing.
That
So,
was the first one, in Trempealeau County.
Yeah.
so when I'm talking now about affordable housing, it's in the context of these communities can extend the life of these tax incremental financing districts that you hear them referred to as TID districts sometimes, or TIF districts. What they are is they are areas that community identifies that they want to have growth in. They establish those boundaries, and then what they do is the tax base gets frozen at the level it is at creation. And then as development occurs and that, assessed value increases, the taxes that would be collected on that and apportioned to school, county, city, those are captured within the TIF district and used to pay the costs of developing that, whether it's putting in road infrastructure, sewer and water, that kind of thing. So they promote development. So at the end of the life of a TIF district, the state created several years ago an option to extend that district by 1 year and capture that additional year of tax revenue to fund affordable housing within the community. So that has to be housing that is no more than 30% of a family's adjusted gross income, I think is the term. So what, there's different ways that communities can sort of implement using that money on affordable housing. The easiest way, and the way it happens in many cases, is somebody comes along and they want to develop 20 or 30, 40 units of affordable housing as part of a housing complex or twin homes or whatever. This municipality can just give that as an incentive to add to their capital stack to make that project happen. Or you could go on the other way and do it on a project-by-project basis. Somebody's putting up a house, you want to make sure that it's something that's, meets that 30% affordable housing definition, and you could do it that way. That gets a little tedious because now you have to do a lot of work on, individual projects. So it's kind of an open discussion as to how communities can implement that, but I think it will be really valuable for those three communities.
Dave, I have a question.
Yeah.
Has the housing authority or anybody done, and what's our assessment for number of units needed in the county? I mean, I'm doing some work up in Dunn County, and their housing shortage is 3,400 units, so what's our need in the county on a countywide basis? How many units are we short?
That's an excellent question, and I do not have the answer to that because we have not done a housing needs assessment or housing study in a while in Trempealeau County. I think some research on that has been done in the past. I think it's probably needed now, and I think that's one of those questions, Buzz, when we get the municipalities together to talk about this, that we could take a look at. But that's an excellent question, and I don't have the answer to that.
Western Dairyland might have some information related to that, because that's one of their primary things that they're working on, and they cover Eau Claire, Clark, Trempealeau, Buffalo County.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up, if we need 1,000 units, I hate to say it, but it's all, so what if we're getting 3, right?
Right.
So what's our strategic
Plan
plan
to get there.
to meet the need for the long term for the county? Maybe that's outside, we're
Yep.
related with this committee, but it's probably outside this committee to really
Which is
put
what-
that strategic need together.
Well, let's go
Which is,
ahead
oh, I'm
and
sorry,
have,
I wasn't quite finished with what I was saying before, but Western Dairyland might be a group that you might want to engage with what we're doing, because that's a really,
Yeah, Western
Top priority for them.
Dairyland, UW Extension, Mississippi River Regional Planning Commission. I mean, those are the three major ones that I think if we were going to push forward and do a countywide housing needs assessment, that we would work with. And so that's definitely that's definitely a possibility for us
Perfect.
to
So
do.
for next meeting, maybe, Dave, you could do a little bit of research and see if you could get that number for us, or at least tell us,
Sure.
where we've looked.
Yep.
Anything else, Dave, that you?
Oh, yeah, I have a few more things, sorry. So in terms of tourism, I'll talk a little bit in the next thing about the GEM grant, so I won't go into that. Working with River Travel Media to do some work on revising or adding to our current Trempealeau County logo to incorporate the Traverse Trempealeau County brand. Working on the Visit Eau Claire project, that's the Instagram and TikTok initiative that we're working on. On Wisconsin Outdoors, that's the free sort of newspaper publication that is in all the quick trips around the state. We're going to have an ad in there in the May-June issue. It might already be at the newsstands now. That goes to over 100,000 or 100,000 copies get distributed throughout quick trips in Wisconsin and northern Illinois. And then also that gets distributed as an insert in some of the weekly newspapers down in the northwest Chicago suburbs. So I think that's a really good exposure for us. And then finally, let's see, finally, for those of you who haven't been following this, they are actually going to start a Amtrak, new Amtrak train between Chicago and Minneapolis. I believe it starts the week after next. There will be an event in La Crosse on Tuesday, May 21st. The governor, I think, is planning to be there just to officially kick off that new train. And why that's significant is there's currently train service between Minneapolis and Chicago, but it's part of the Empire Builder, which runs all the way from Chicago out to Portland and Seattle. And that train, like many trains, they get behind schedule. So reliability, if you're going, say, between Chicago and Minneapolis or somewhere in between, it gets a little tough. But with this dedicated train, it's just running between those cities, and it's going to run probably very much on time, maybe a little faster, and it has the potential for us to be able to tap in, okay, and start marketing to Amtrak riders on that route, which is going to be called the Borealis train, and encourage people like, hey, you know, you can take the train to Winona, or you can take the train to La Crosse, and from there, you can start your adventure, which includes Trempealeau County.
So take the train from, did you say to or from? Winona or
Well,
La
there's
Crosse?
Amtrak stops in La Crosse and Winona,
And
so,
okay.
so like, say we were trying to target visitors in Minnesota, they could literally get on that train right downtown Minneapolis and take the train to
zip on
Winona and, you know, be right on our doorstep. Same thing with La Crosse. So it's just another tool and another thing that we need to tap into. I know the Great River Road has been following that right along, and it's got some potential. I mean, it's a great way to bring people up from Chicago.
Could you let us know by email when this, is it a christening by Governor Evers? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I will get some more, I'll get some more information and try to pass it along to the committee.
I'd be interested.
I
Thank you.
I found out about it the other day when I was talking with Drew Nussbaum, who's our regional tourism rep from Travel, Wisconsin.
Awesome. Anything else?
And I think that is about it.
Wonderful. I think that's great. Dave, and tell me, please, if this is too much or would be too much work, but would you be able to kind of put together a bit of a written report, even if it's just kind of bullet points?
Yep.
Maybe a week prior to our meeting?
Absolutely.
And then if you guys, if we have anything that we can help him with, any of our resources or whatever, we can help him do that. That tourism job is a big one. So, yeah, so the more, obviously, the more
Sure.
assistance we can get, the better. That sounds great. Okay, so then we are on to the GEM grant update, item number 12. And I think that's Dave and Becky, huh?
Yep. So if you go back, I believe, to our March meeting, we were talking about website and some other needs we had for tourism in Trempealeau County. And Becky suggested, you know, that might be a really good GEM grant project, and GEM is JEM, Joint Effort Marketing. It's a program of Travel Wisconsin where they provide money every year to help out local tourism organizations to both promote new and existing events, as well as to do research on tourism marketing and who are your visitors, who are you trying to reach. And so we put together an application, submitted it for the April 1st deadline. We were told that it was going to be very competitive, that they had already expended a lot of the allocation for this year. So whatever money they had left was going to be very competitive, but we decided to push on anyways and put together a project. And just, you know, the 35,000 foot view of the project is what we want to do is come up with, you know, some data-driven analysis of who are we reaching, who do we want to reach, how can we better do that? And then, so the long story short is, we got the grant. We applied for 39,000, we got 17,000, but we feel really good about that giving us a nice start on doing some of the research, the strategic planning that really will lay the bedrock for us to build in the future. So like I said, I talked with Drew Nussbaum this week, got some ideas from him about, you know, what are some of the agencies we might be able to partner with. I'm also reaching out to Visit Eau Claire, Visit Winona, Explore La Crosse, because they've all had experience in the past with GEM grants. Well, Winona wouldn't, but they've done data analysis, yeah, and get some ideas. So what we do have in front of you here, or was included in the packet, was a resolution to accept that grant and designate where the revenues and expenditures will come out of. So, Becky?
I just want to thank Dave for helping put that together and all the communication piece that goes along with that. Because we reached out to a broad spectrum of groups across the county, all of the communities across the county, as well as Jackson, Pepin, and Buffalo County leaders to ask for their support. And they all wrote a letter of support to be a part of this so that we can all work together. And so that was really encouraging, and so we'll all come together to try to work on messaging and how we can highlight things together. So, and really when we first met with the team at the state, they had told us it's so competitive, we really don't think that there will be funds available for you, but you could always apply in September. So when we were notified, it was really, wow, we were surprised. So it was a nice piece, so.
That is a huge accomplishment to be able to get a GEM grant in that short of time. Congratulations to you both. That is amazing. Absolutely. So do we need to do?
Well, so did everybody get the resolution? I have a chance. You didn't send it in the packet. All right, so
But
like they
it's
do
on-
at county board, do we have to read this?
Yes,
Okay,
because we're gonna sign it.
that's fine. So I'll read the resolution that we're,
Just to approve accepting it.
it's accepting it, yeah.
Well,
And
do we have
doing,
to sign it before it goes?
Yeah, she'll read.
So
Yeah,
I've
so if
got
it-
it,
if
I've
it-
got it on my
if it
screen.
passes, then we send this around, people
Got
sign.
it.
So, I don't have a resolution number on it because I think Paul assigns that at county board, but it's accepting joint effort marketing or GEM grant. Whereas Trempealeau County attracts visitors with abundant outdoor recreation opportunities, beautiful landscapes, welcome communities, and friendly people. And whereas those visitors contribute significantly to the economic well-being of the county, spending an estimated $67 million in Trempealeau County in 2022. And whereas Trempealeau County seeks to better understand what is attracting visitors to the area so it can refine and enhance its marketing strategy. And whereas Trempealeau County applied for and has been awarded a joint effort marketing grant in the amount of $16,964.46 from the Wisconsin Department of Tourism to assist with destination tourism development. And whereas Trempealeau County intends to provide the needed match for the grant by allocating staff time as an in-kind expense paid for by Trempealeau County, now be it resolved, the Trempealeau County Board approves and accepts these grant funds to account 101.43597 GEM grant revenue, approves the expenditures from account 101.56331.210 GEM grant expense, and approves any other appropriate and related action as needed in relation to the GEM grant project introduced by the Parks, Tourism, and Economic Development Committee.
Awesome. I have a question. Is there a sunset on using this money?
There is not, but on the other hand, I don't see a reason why we would wait very long. I mean, this is the next step forward for us to be able to tap into some additional money. I think that we probably would, come back next year and try to apply for another GEM grant.
I would think it would be probably fairly easy to use us
Yes.
in kind.
Right?
So, I'm sorry, it is designated through the grant specifically on how we would use the funds. So
Right.
the funds are used to pay an outside contracted marketing group
Oh,
to help
okay.
us collect data.
So this in kind is not necessarily in-house.
The in-kind is really our staff time because like Dave, myself, and others will be attending these meetings. That'll be county-wide with our partners to do some, fact-finding and things like that as a group with the marketing group, and then they do the analysis and provide that. So the funds all go to kind of more on this first year as a baseline, so that what the hope is then is to get a baseline on data on where we're at and our messaging. What is the messaging as a county that we want to come together collectively to share? And then to track that through years. So this first year is a base, then the state expects that we're gonna get this all accomplished within the timeline that we set forward in our first year. And then we would be able to come back and report on that, and then we would be set up for years 2 and 3. So they do expect a 3-year funding through this program, so that as long as we're following what we're supposed to be doing.
So the grant does require a match. And so to match that 17,000 that we're getting from them, we will be tracking our staff time and
Sure.
coming up with that 17,000 in staff time.
So it'll be in kind.
Correct.
I think we need to approve forwarding this resolution to the county board before we sign it.
Yeah, so you just need a motion and a
I
second.
move that
and-
we approve forwarding this resolution to the full county board to accept the GEM grant.
I
Second.
second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
And we're very excited and look forward to working with the committee and with our partners in the communities around the county. I don't know that Trempealeau County has gotten a GEM grant in the past. If it is, it's been, nope. Jean says no.
No.
So this is breaking new ground for us.
Breaking news.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Dave, would you please email out the GEM grant to all the committees so they can see it if it hasn't already been done? So if they have questions, you can review what they've written and sent to the state. I used to sit on the GEM grant committee, so I was very pleased to see that we got it, even half of it, because it is very competitive. But it's a good thing. But I think it would be important that the committee gets a copy of it, that you can read it, understand it. If you have questions, you can ask Dave and Becky to help you with that.
So to clarify, Jean, you want like what I sent you, which was our application?
Correct.
That's, yeah, I can do that.
Correct. Thank you.
Perfect.
And I'm done.
All right, wonderful. Then the next item on our agenda is park priorities with Jack and Becky.
Yeah, and Jack had a planned vacation, so I said, and he said he could attend virtually, but his wife probably wouldn't be too happy about it.
Wouldn't go over well.
So Jack and I have been working closely together, so I said, absolutely not. You have vacation for a reason, so I will be happy to step in, and we'll, hopefully I can cover everything, and if you have questions, we can follow up with Jack, but I'll give you kind of the overview that he gave me and that he and I have been talking about. So, park priorities. So, first of all, I did send in your packet this Petrick Park planning document. So if you saw that, I love to use, this is how I generally do planning, and this was, we worked as a team of a group of us, Jack, myself, Dave, Haley, and UW Extension. Andrea, there we go. Andrea, am I missing it? And Amy. And we started to just say, because we were talking about the pond and where things were at there, we wanted to set up a priority list of what are we gonna do with Petrick Park and priorities there. Do you want to have if you want a paper copy of this, I do have some. I just didn't know if you.
Is there any way to bring it up?
I'm working on that right now.
Oh, okay.
I've got one, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't need one, I got it. We need to save paper, save trees, save our environment.
Right, Becky?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be right.
So. Yep. So we basically broke it down into what are the areas that we need to focus on, and looking at just laying everything out, and then determining what do we feel are the priorities, and we wanted to talk to you about that in our planning and how to move these things forward. So this was a start with putting everything on the plan. There have already been some updates because people were getting things accomplished as we were looking at this. But, you know, then you have a column there for who's responsible to make sure these tasks get done, and then when's the date kind of that we're working toward, right? Because we want to have it, time management so that we're getting things accomplished. And so anyway, a lot of this though will fall on Jack. So, and there's a lot of things, we kind of put this into place, started talking about a few of these things that he has started to work on, but the rodeo has also been taking up a lot of time in that conversation. So anyway, we'll come back to putting more time stamps on this, but I wanted to first talk to you about this because it's a piece of the priority piece that we want your input on. Okay, so looking at the canoe kayak launch site, and that is at Petrick Park, we're talking about how we would like that to be a priority, like the whole waterway, and making a whole water put-ins at several places, not just right at that park, but a waterway plan. And so a piece of that is really then talking about backing up and saying, we really need a volunteer organization group to help with that, because the waterway needs to make sure that it's clear and passable, right? And that you have someone that can get out there and do that. So Jack had already started conversations, I think, with you and saying we need a Friends of the Parks group. And so we were going to attend the Rod and Gun Club meeting, and that got canceled. And so now we put that off. I've attended the Whitehall Lions Club meeting. Jack has as well. And so working on finding some groups that would be interested in being a part of the Friends of the Parks group so that we can identify people that would help with that whole project. So anyway, these were some of the things that we had at least looked at, that we started identifying that we need to consider as we talk about that launch site in an overall plan for a waterway plan. Then also at the park, one of the considerations I had brought forward is saying, you know, you do have a busy highway system that's right there on right next to the park. Can we put up some barrier that would be a natural barrier? And so it's talking about tree planting. So the trees, that was a follow-up meeting that Jack had that I'll touch more on as we go. But so that's kind of laid out here on what that would look like. Friends of the Trempealeau County Park System, who we would meet with. Then we had talked about the bridge and kind of what are the costs and things like that. Bathroom and existing buildings, problems, issues, things that we need to be considering, and maintenance that needs to happen. Septic, realizing that that's pretty old, and when, if that's a priority, and maybe, you know, when should we be thinking about that? And then the natural play area was one that we had talked about because we were considering at the time the pond, and so we have that on there. And then what's the future planning for the horse arena? So, as a part of this, Dave has followed up on the whole piece on the pond, and we did put a hold on that, and had kind of talked about the grant and telling the DNR that we were not going to be accepting the grant for that piece. But we still do have SRF hanging out there kind of as a retainer with funding to get some planning done that had been started. So part of what was also sent to you were some just ideas in park planning. And so as we talked about some of that natural area, and also like the hills in the slides that are really kind of a natural fit with this area, and thinking about that. So wanted to bring that forward and saying we'd like to continue that process with SRF to make sure, like, get a real plan in place for that play area.
May I ask who is SRF?
Yep, Dave can talk.
So SRF Consulting, they're out of Minnesota.
Consulting.
And the
Got it.
PTED Committee, when did we approve that? It was sometime
Last year.
last year. We approved spending up to $56,000 with them to do three sort of distinct tasks. One was to do design work for a recreational pond on the 5-acre Schenck property. And then it was to come up with some concept plans for natural play areas within the park. And then the final part of it was to do a bridge location study for a potential future bridge within the park that could be used by pedestrians, snowmobilers, and potentially ATVs. So the committee back in February decided to put a pause on the rec pond concept because what we were seeing was just adding up to some pretty substantial costs. And so that led to, this review that Becky kind of talked about with looking at the park and park needs. And, if we don't do a rec pond, where should we be focusing our efforts? So the decision was, I think PTED pretty much agreed that the rec pond was not going to happen. So we did tell DNR that we would not accept their $219,000 grant. Felt that was important to let them know, give them a heads up that we weren't going to be able to use the money so it could be redeployed. So SRF Consulting, they've not done any work on this since they met with us in February. Jack and I did have a call last week with Phil Johnson from SRF just to update him where things were at, that the rec pond was not going to be happening, but that we were going to be talking with the committee about future direction, and then we would be getting back to them in terms of how do we move forward with that current contract. So like I said, we've spent about $13,000 of the $56,000 that the board had approved.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I should go back and watch minutes from the past. I think that would be very
You'll-
educational.
Yeah, you'll have to catch up a little bit
I
on,
will have
yeah.
to, and I can do that.
Or
catch
call
up fast.
and talk to Jack or me or Becky.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
There's a lot of, in your plan, a lot of issues, research funding opportunities. So I'm curious about where I think it was 186,000 or 168,000 CapEx dollars that came to the county back in November that are just sitting, that are earmarked for. One of the very first words in how to use that money were parks and conservation, which that money all falls in there. So I'm curious where that money is sitting.
So it is, it's held with the county right now. This is the broader conversation that Dave and I have been having, actually, because he brought that forward to me right away, too, when we started talking. And that's a bigger conversation, more focused on our strategic plan. And I think, just what I'd like to focus on right now anyway is the strategic piece of what we already have in place are the funds sitting out with SRF is it SRF, is that right?
SRF.
Okay. And that, getting the plan in place and doing those things, and at the same time, us, Dave and I, we need some more time, like we've done here with this Petrick Park planning. We've had an initial couple of meetings to talk about strategic piece on the economic development tourism, but I'd like some more time with him yet so that we can actually do the same type of thing, and I want us to be more strategic in thinking about that, and so that those funds are used in the best way, and it's a possibility on what you're saying, but also, I know that there are some funds set aside already in parks, and we want to think overall on that strategic piece yet, so.
So could we bring that forward next month on our agenda to talk about that funding? Because I get nervous when money comes into the county and it gets used in areas where not where it shouldn't be used, but this is really money that's designated for conservation, because that was the whole purpose of CapEx. After they put in the whole power lines, there was environmental damage done, and how can we make it better?
Yeah.
So I just feel like somebody's gonna get their hands on that money and it'll be lost too.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be lost, because I have, because I'm aware of it, and I've talked to Paul about it already too, so, but I'm glad that it was brought forward. So yes, I think, within the next month, we could have some good, Dave and I'll have some good planning to bring forward, and we can bring that up again and talk to you some more about that.
Wonderful. I think this is a great plan. I think it's amazing to have something down in writing.
I got a comment. I think, Becky, by the next meeting, then, are you planning to have a prioritization of this list and an implementation schedule? I mean, right now, it's pretty wide open.
It is wide
It's a
open.
big to-do list, and
So-
obviously Jack isn't gonna get it all done.
Correct. I think what I would like to just, yes, is to your point, I think the bigger piece right now is talking about the prioritization piece in saying the canoe kayak launch piece and the Friends of the Parks is priority to move that forward, right? Because it's not gonna take us a lot of funding at this point. We wanna get that started. And the planning needs to be in place. We've already got funds set aside with SRF, so if we could continue forward and you like some of those ideas on the play area, if we could continue to move those plans forward, then like you're seeing here, and move that forward. I think the bigger things, like septic, right? I mean, that's big, and
Human health, right?
right, and it's gonna take a lot of planning and in future, in the bridge, even if we can put that in as a part of this SRF plan, that's one thing to get it planned, but, those are all, and even the bathroom in existing buildings, that's a longer term, but the things that we can start working on right now are the trees, the canoe kayak piece, and the Friends of Trempealeau
The low
County.
cost and the
Yeah,
high benefit.
right,
exactly.
The other comment I'd have, building on Jeannie's comment, is if we got $168,000 in cash sitting there, that's a ton of match. It'd be nice if you guys had thought this through on, maybe we gotta get through the plan first. But if you got $168,000 of match sitting there, you're probably looking at $500,000 worth of work through the grants programs.
Awesome.
A quick question, and I don't know if this is appropriate or not. Have certain companies, county companies, businesses been approached, and do we do that for willingness of contribution, like maybe Ornua, Ashley?
Sure, absolutely, we do that, but it's really important that we
To
have a
have-
plan in place first.
Of course, yes.
Yep. And so, what we want is that Friends group
Yes,
set up.
yep.
And then we'll put the plan from SRF that will say, here is what we want it to look like. And then here's our long-term plan with some timelines and things on it, and then we can approach others. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's a great plan, Becky. Anybody have any other comments?
Just to follow up on that, it's great, that we got the plan getting started, but we have to tell people what's happening with that CapEx. I think that's what Jeannie's getting at is, okay, we've got to inform the public that that money has not been designated, but we are putting
Working
it
on it,
together
yeah.
because people will constantly ask, well, aren't they getting a lot of CapEx money?
Yes,
What is happening
yeah.
to that? So that's kind of what I think you're getting at, Jeannie, isn't that we got to start telling
Well,
people
the
that.
CapEx money we got several years ago, the $1.2 million, and how that was dispersed in the county is we requested RFPs from environmental groups that were interested in getting the money. It was a very arduous process. It took months.
Yep,
And,
I
'cause we
remember it
had
well.
to, we used a rubric and we had to review all the plans and the money was given out. This is extra money from that old money.
Mm-hmm.
It was I can't remember if it's 86 or 68. So.
And I'm
the
just saying.
public, the public has had many opportunities in the past year when we were looking at what we were gonna do for the park. We had a thing, in Eau Claire, in Arcadia, we had something up here, the people from SRF kind of managed that. And we did get a lot of public input, and we sent out a survey to the public on things that they felt they wanted to see as far as recreational stuff, got a lot of feedback, so.
But I'm just saying we have to answer that as part of the strategic plan, because
Right.
most people that ask me don't know anything about what's happening to it. They just want to know, well, did that just disappear?
Right.
Just like you're informing. So we do have to make a collective effort to tell people that we have a strategic plan put together. It's in process.
Right.
Because I want to have an answer when somebody says, what happened to that $168,000? So I want a unified answer that we say, it's part of the strategic plan, we're going to work with it, and it will go to environmental.
I believe that we're on a good plan to do that. Is everybody here comfortable with actually working through the consulting company first, getting a plan, and then, I mean, I think this is amazing. And then we can, roll from there, and I'm sure by next month we'll have more
Right.
information.
Just on that CapEx thing, just so that the new board members are aware, we did take a resolution of the county board back in February to designate that money for parks. That ended up getting tabled, didn't it? Or did it get defeated?
That was one of the
But-
resolutions that will wait until the new county administrator
Right,
comes.
so they punted, is what I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. But just to clarify, it is true in terms of what that money is, can be used for, that parks and conservation projects are in there. Economic development's also listed as a use for that money. So, I think it's probably been a good thing that the county board put the brakes on that and deferred to let Becky, get into the job and take a look and what are our needs on a holistic level.
I think
Yeah,
that's a
and
really good point.
I think that's, yeah, go ahead, sorry, I was
No,
just gonna
that's
say,
all.
that's a really good point, and that's what, a part of what I wanna do yet is more investigation on the funds and the purpose and the, and how to use those. Because that's what Dave and I have talked about too, is this other possibility of what those funds could do. So I think it was Buzz's point, is saying, how can we leverage the funds to do more
Right,
than what
yeah.
we actually have? So that's why we do want to be really strategic about that.
Perfect.
I
Unless-
I just have a question about the Friends of Petrick Park. I know Doreen is not here. She's usually at all our meetings. Have you and Jack involved her in the conversation? Because we've talked about that in developing a 501c3.
Okay.
And she has worked on that. So to not have her involved,
Who is that, Jeannie?
Doreen Olson.
Okay.
And she's usually at every single one of our meetings. Her family has been a massive supporter of Petrick Park, both physically.
family.
Okay.
Our neighbors.
Right, and they have donated a lot of in-kind work to the park, a lot of financial, and have a really vested interest in the park.
Perfect. I really like this
Awesome.
document, and I think that this is going to help us a lot when we have people asking what the questions are and all of that kind of thing. So thank you for pulling this together so quickly. I think you guys did a great job on that, and we'll
Lori,
go
can I have a
forward.
I've got another appointment I gotta get to, but I do have one comment. I spent about 4 hours on the phone with the Rural Partners Network staff, Sarah Sipple and Julie Lassa this week. And they are more than willing to come to the county to talk about rural economic development funding sources and all the different grant programs that are available. And so maybe we could get that, a little bit, talk about that next week. I'm actually going to meet with Sarah now. And if you want that to come either to full county board or to this committee or a joint meeting, Sarah would gladly come and put a presentation together for the group, so.
And Dave and I have spent quite a bit of time with Sarah already too. so
Yeah,
it
we
was-
intersect with Rural Partners Network and USDA quite a bit. In fact, Sarah's the one that helped me get this meeting set up today at 11, where we're going to talk about facade loan stuff. She's been very active with supporting this outdoor recreation work group that we have, and applied for this rural business development grant to advance a regional outdoor
Maybe you don't need her to
rec plan.
come
Well,
to-
no, it's always good, and I think that's good.
Yeah, point I've been working on her with is how do we begin to think about local food supply chains?
Right.
And how that drives small and diversified agriculture back onto the landscape.
Perfect. Okay, that sounds great. If you want to get back to us on that, we're going to work real hard, Buzz, in the future to stick to that 1 hour meeting. So
I've got
I
one
apologize
question.
for that.
In regards to this canoe landing, the park was issued a DNR grant for the canoe landing this year. And our local Rod and Gun Club from Independence is building a canoe landing, but one of the stipulations, I think we can get this done this year too, but we have to wait till June 15th after nesting season before we can start. But I think Petrick Park was allocated, I think $3,500 toward this canoe landing from a
Through
DNR
your-
grant.
Through the rod and gun,
No, through the state DNR grant. It used to be
who has the grant?
Fox Bounty money is what they call it, but it was cost sharing for conservation, canoe landings and that.
Okay.
But we were allocated the grant last year through land management. And then also the other one is with these trees here, one of the caretakers had asked, he said, Bob, can you get a hold of one of the guys from Rod and Gun Club? He was helping with the boardwalk down there, and he's a professional logger about dropping 2 trees down there. He said, once he got them down, he said, the guys can clean it up. But I said, that's in the makings already too. So those will be dropped
Great.
this spring yet.
So that, because Jack is talking to contractors, is that what you mean?
No, this is just a guy that's a logger.
Okay.
He's part of the family from that park. He helped put the boardwalk together, and all they were worried about is this coming to drop them. I mean, this is nothing that we're gonna have to pay to get them dropped.
Great.
Because the boys down there said, well, we'll cut the thing up once it's on the ground and use it for firewood.
There you go, use of our
I don't know if
resources.
Jack was even knowing
He
about it.
he
This
is
the-
aware, he is aware of who that person, he's,
doing something.
he's aware of who that person is, but he's also been, I think, doing his due diligence to, see that person, the bottom line is he's taking a look at it, Bob. He knows who
Okay.
that person is, but he's also taking a look at, is
Just
there
vetting.
anybody else that
Yeah.
can do the work? And he'll
One of-
figure it out.
One of Jack's big concerns is the boardwalk, because they go over the boardwalk.
Right.
So he just wants to make sure that whoever is doing this is qualified and is gonna make sure that nothing damages the boardwalk.
Right, he's aware of that,
Okay.
this gentleman, to look it over and go from there.
How about liability, do we have to?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
other
that's
piece.
the other thing. Okay, it sounds like you guys all have that right under control though there, so that's kind of a individual task. Anything else under, our,
That's all I have for, on that park priority list, unless
Okay,
you have other
wonderful.
questions.
I gotta go because I got another work shift to my main job, so I'll have to step out.
okay, thanks.
Bye, Kevin.
Yep, take care. Bye.
Okay, and then do we have anything on the park, report?
So
from
park
Jack?
report, forestry, and gear, that's the other report that Jack put together, that's really talking about the trees and getting the tree removal. The piece on here that I had talked about, trees being added to the front row line there across the, near the highway. Just wanted, and Jack has found that we already have a tanker sprayer for the UTV that can be used for watering purposes, so that the guys that are there could water.
There's also one that goes in the back of a pickup.
Okay. Oh, that's maybe what he was talking about. We got some information from Haley on the types of trees that we could plant, and the sizes and what would be best. We can talk about that at our next meeting. I think it's always best to, at least what we've done in the past, is always plant in the fall. Makes it easier for watering and such because of the hot summer. You don't have to worry about it as much. So I think that's a conversation that we can have at our next meeting, if that's okay. But
Sounds great.
I wanted to make sure that the path forward on the vision on thinking about planting there was where you thought we should go. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so that's that. And then he also included some gear that there's if you go on this website listing right here, you can actually purchase gear that has Petrick Park listed as the gear. So
Awesome.
that's been put together, and so we'll have to figure out how we promote that, so.
Okay.
All right, that's all that.
Do you want to go on to the rodeo update
Yep.
right away?
Yep, we'll go on to the rodeo update. So this is a big thing to tackle, so I just want you to be aware of that. You know, we had the individual come forward, wants to do the rodeo at Petrick Park, and we had hoped to be able to put something together for him right away so that he could do an early May event, but we really do have to step a little cautiously here with this. And so we have really backed up a bit in going, okay, we want to put together a special event reservation policy so that we're checking off all the boxes, right? the county has to be careful because of all the liability issues that can happen. And so we've been in contact with our mutual insurance. We're waiting to get, get documentation back from them. We're trying to put together an application because we've had a lot of difficulty and we've had several meetings with the individual that wants to rent that space. But we need to get like all the documentation of who you are and where you're from and make sure that we have, if problems do arise, how are we going to make sure that we are covered for that? So anyway, that's where we're at right now. The proposal, we had kind of started leaning toward, I mean, you can see how the layout is. There's a lot of great components that have been pulled together. It's just taking time to pull it together. So I want you to be aware of that. But we had really hoped to do then, in talking with the individuals, saying June 1st, July 6th, August 3rd, September 1st, but feeling like because of the insurance, and they need a month of advertising, right? So feeling really like that July date is more realistic in making that happen. So we're going to keep working toward that, but because we don't have anything in place ahead of time to make that happen, we really got to make sure that we have all the bases covered. So Jack's been working on that too with me, and we're working toward that. Any questions about that? Yes.
Thank you for doing all of that. That was my major concern at last meeting. I'm totally in support of this. I think it's absolutely fabulous, but doing the things I did in my career and whatever, that all this like, hey, let's do it, scared me a lot, and I'm sure you could tell that in my comments last month, but I support it 100%. I think it's going to be fabulous, but thank you for doing this and getting everything in order. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's always the first, right? Whenever
Yes.
you do a first thing, there's more work to it, so.
Correct.
We appreciate you just getting everything on board and getting this going. That's
Good.
Can I
that
ask
was
a real quick
amazing.
question? I'm
Yep.
sorry to take up time, and I can ask you afterward, but it sounds like maybe these people have done this sort of thing, and it sounds like it might be a good revenue and attraction thing for the county.
Definitely.
Yes, yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Yeah, so we're really excited about it
Yes.
and want to make it happen. But through some of the discussions that we've had, it sounds more like that individual hasn't specifically done it himself yet. He's been a part
I
of it happening in other
So we
areas.
start, okay. So what kind of revenue does the county hope to realize besides, I did go back and read the notes. So there's like an application fee. Is there a part of the proceeds? I mean,
We
what
we
kind of
really are
We're still
hoping.
working on it, yeah.
And we really wanted to help get that going
it
for the
going,
first
yep.
year so that we
Sure,
weren't
yep.
going to into,
Yeah.
more the conversation has been, would he be interested in making a donation back to the park? And maybe
Oh, sure.
signage or things
Sure.
that we need there at the
Yeah.
park. So depending on how things go, but we
Right.
want him to be successful so that it's a good thing that he can continue on.
Wonderful. Any other discussion on the rodeo? Otherwise, we'll move to future agenda items. Anyone have?
Well, I think I already talked about it, the CapEx dollars.
Yep.
I also was contacted by, someone, John Fleury is his name, and I think he spoke with you. He owns a bunch of land, and he would like to talk with you or Jack about, using some of his property for biking, mountain biking. He's kind of like not totally into ATV trails, but maybe,
This is.
Jack and Chris
This is
Fleury.
John,
Or
Chimney
John,
Rock, town of
Chimney
Chimney
Rock,
Rock,
yep.
yep. Yeah, I've talked to him a couple times. What he's actually looking at is he wants to develop his own private property for, bike trail or trail usage, some camping and stuff. And I did redirect him back to land management, about what the zoning implications and
Because
needs would be.
to me, it sounded like he wanted to open his land in
He does, but he wants to.
conjunction with us to have people use it.
But it's
Not
just-
exactly.
no.
He wants to basically have a private place, like the
Oh.
Justin Trails Resort down by Sparta. So I've talked to him about, in fact, I actually told him about Justin Trails, said he might, told him he might want to take a trip down there sometime. I'd be happy to
Perfect.
go with him, and
Yep.
take a look, because I'm curious.
Doesn't
But
sound like it's something
It's a
we-
private enterprise
Okay.
that
I
that he's
didn't get
wanting
that
to do.
impression from him,
Right.
so
So it's
He-
probably not
I just
on
ran
our
into him again this week
agenda.
at Quick Trip during
Okay.
lunch.
Yeah,
so-
I see him every Sunday, so,
Okay.
yeah, he was waiting to hear about how he could work with the county to do this.
You and I touch base after
Perfect.
this. I have just a couple things that
Sure.
Jack wanted to bring forward and just saying, okay, so things also that future agenda will be working and bringing forward a waiver that's needed for professional services and volunteers, working in the parks, working on the river cleanup. We would like to put together benches and tree plaque forms so that when people donate, they have a form to do that. And then he is working with the Trempealeau County Music Series update, and that's the citywide parks music that's going to be happening. There's a partner, he has set up a partnership with WHTL for 60 ads at $375 for marketing the events, and then Edge Graphics signage and promotional work. So,
Perfect.
there you go.
I got a couple items.
Sure.
Number one, we talked about it last fall when the outside outhouses took away at county hospital. And now tour season started, and we had said about bringing in a porta potty before it gets forgetting that, a porta potty gets put back out there. And then we had also talked years ago about with the amount of older people using the park, and since there is communication at Petrick Park, putting an AED out there on
Okay.
the side of the building. And that got put on the back burner.
Okay,
And
so you're
then-
gonna add that to the,
At Beechwood Park?
Yeah.
Those are out there already.
An AED is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, Jack took care of that.
And then also, I think the guys are pretty proud of what they did at Petrick Park. He says, Bob, you don't suppose you could have a meeting out there this summer, could you? I think they're just pretty proud
Oh,
of,
I like
the
that.
caretakers. And we've
Yeah.
always had, 1 or 2 meetings a year out
Sure.
there. So they
Sounds
can
good.
show the caretakers are proud of their work out there.
that's great.
We usually have meetings out there. In the past, we've always had them.
Yeah, at least 1 or 2.
Yep,
Nice.
sounds great. So any other future agenda items at all? All right, and then the next meeting date, would everyone be okay with doing June 11th at 8:30?
What day is that?
It is the same day, it's just moved a week apart. I'm actually gonna be doing some lobbying at the national capitol, so
on a Tuesday?
yes, yeah.
I wouldn't be available, but that's okay.
I won't be available.
And I'll be at State FA Convention, so I will not
Okay.
be available.
Doesn't work for me.
All right.
Fridays don't really work for me either, so, but I made it work today.
Okay, how about, that sounds,
That's Memorial Weekend.
Right after Memorial Day.
yeah.
But it's a
How about,
Tuesday,
how
right?
about on the 10th, on Monday the 10th? Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
I have
Right.
a meeting that day. I have another meeting that day.
Usually the morning, so we have property committee that morning,
Oh, really?
but afternoon would be open,
Could we do afternoon
I
or
have a
evening?
meeting. Human Services meets in the afternoon.
but not till 4.
Okay, so can we do,
And I
The-
think on the 10th, ADRC will be meeting before the Human Services meeting, as I recall.
how about Wednesday the 12th?
Well, let's go back to the 10th, if you want to do it on, if you put it at,
What time is
so
property?
Human
I'm sorry.
Services, properties at 9.
Okay.
There's a 4 o'clock Human Services. I do not have ADRC
Yeah,
on
that doesn't
there.
always it's every other month, so the ADRC we meet at like 3 o'clock or 2:30 before the Human Services
Okay.
Board meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so what other time would we have
Yeah,
available?
do you want to do like a 1 o'clock?
1
On the
o'clock
10th?
work for everyone on the 10th?
Good for me.
1 o'clock would work for me on the 10th.
Perfect, let's go with 1 o'clock on the
That
10th.
means I have 3 back-to-back meetings that day.
Okay, so it's
1
June,
to 6.
June 10th at 1 o'clock, does that work? All right, thank you guys very much, I appreciate that.
It's not my favorite time, just so you know, but whatever.
And then, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we need a second?
No,
Second.
we learned that at our meeting the other day. We don't even need a motion to adjourn,
No, all the
correct?
chairman has to do is
Just say the
decide that the
meeting is
meeting is
adjourned.
over. and
It's
you can do
over,
it.
we are
And
done.